This is the David Goodman Reality and Truth Show. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Vanita Lambert, and I'm the host of this show. And I have a very special guest, Mr. Milford Edwards from Radio 1400.am. He is the CEO, and he's a returning guest. He was here a few months ago. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Benito.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. I mean, it's just awesome what you do, what your radio show does for the community. Yes. It's a resource for the community. Yes. And I have a show on Radio 1400. It's called the Medicare and Retirement Planning Show. And basically, you know, I did that show because I've been in the field for quite, you know, for about 8 years or so. And I noticed that I was sitting down with a lot of families, you know, 10 to 15 families per week, and they did not have the information on Medicare savings program, Medicaid, and, you know, all of the benefits that they can get from that. So I decided to try to reach as many people as possible. And that's why I decided to do my radio show, to get the information out to the community, and to just help people, because I'm from a community where there wasn't a real lot of information.
And that's important too, because that is a key to the whole thing in terms of growth. Information, correct information, not just information, but correct information.
Correct information.
That is relevant to the needs of the people in the community. And in extension of what you just said a while ago, Benito, thanks very much for being a part of the radio station and providing such wonderful information in terms of Medicare and people's health needs in that regard. But one of the things that I also wanted to stress, we stream live on Radio 1400.am, and your program is on at 2 o'clock on Tuesdays. But we also have, each person has their own on-demand channel, which means that after the program runs on our site, on our live stream, then they can go back and listen to the program. And all the programs that you've done so far are listed there. So people can go back with whatever information they want. They can go back over a year and a half, 2 years ago, and listen to information that you have.
Exactly.
And each one is categorized by date. So if you said, okay, on January 12th last year, I did such and such and such, they can go back and search the date and listen to the information on that particular topic. And so it provides a resource of information, of valuable information for communities. And I just wanted to stress that as we go forward.
Okay, yep, and my show goes back to like 2020 during COVID.
Sure.
And that was another reason, because I couldn't go house to house during COVID. So let's just take a step back, and forgive me for this. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself, how long you've been in this business, and the reasons that you're doing what you do.
Well, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
I've been in radio broadcasting now for most of my life. I started out in my late teens, 19 years old, at Jamaica Broadcasting Corporation.
Oh, okay.
So I've been doing that from ever since. I won't tell you how old I am now, because
his age is a secret. I already picked up on that.
But with all intents is that that is something that I think was in my blood from when I was a youngster. I always had an interest in broadcast media, and that is something that I gravitated towards as I grew up. You know, so when I left high school, the opportunity came for me to do this, which is what I did, and so I have been able to transfer my skills internationally. I've worked at the United Nations in radio division. I worked in WMCA radio when it was a talk station back in the 80s. I was a producer there for 8 years, and I also worked in, I would say, satellite communications with a company called IDB Communications.
Okay.
And they eventually expanded into a worldwide, should I say, a worldwide network. So they had earth stations all over the country, all over the country and all over the world. So I got into satellite communications, where I got to learn more about the on the edge of technology expanding back in the 90s. And that was a great growth for me in terms of being able to do other things as far as media was concerned. So out of that came the idea of doing a simulcast, a radio simulcast with Jamaican radio and the radio station that I was affiliated with in New York at the time, 93.5 FM, and IRI FM in Jamaica. So out of that came a program called IRI Jam. And what happened with that is that people listening in Jamaica were able to listen simultaneously to people listening in New York and send shout-outs to each other live.
Wow.
Right.
Even with the time difference.
Right. Everything
wow.
was, as in other words, you're listening in one location. So I was able to do that because I was exposed to the technology at the time, which gave me the opportunity to do that. So in a sense, I pioneered that aspect of our business because I was the first person to do that.
Oh, wow.
With the IRI Jam. They're still functioning, not in that capacity, but they've expanded in other areas. But so the point I'm making is that I used those skills to further sharing information for our communities. And then I was invited by the late Mr. Otto Miller to become the general manager of WDJZ Radio in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And we went on air 3 weeks after 9/11 in 2001. We went on air the 2nd of October in 2001.
In 2001, a lot of folks in this area is very familiar with WDJZ
right.
radio.
And
So
we were there, and we were on air there for until 2016, when that dissolved. And then I went into my own, should I say, ownership, where I got 2 radio stations on my own, WSTC 1400 and also 1350 WNLK. So those 2 radio stations, I maintained those until just before COVID, and then I decided to go online with Radio 1400.am. For obvious reasons, the trending in radio is changing. The terrestrial, what we call on-air radio, terrestrial radio, is now changing. A lot of activities are now taking place online. The revenue strain that we had before is not as it was then.
exactly.
And so I had to make a decision to continue what I was doing, but doing it online. So that's where we are at the moment. Providing a voice for the community, so each person can come on and do their own radio programs. So someone such as yourself, Anita, is an independent producer. So you are totally, I say, responsible, in control of whatever it is that you say or you do on the program. And of course, we will guide you along. Say, for instance, someone who has not done this before, we'll give you the guidelines and help you, hold your hand, so to speak, to make sure that you
Train
do what
us.
to do in a way that is efficient enough for the listeners to gain the benefit of what it is that you're sharing.
Okay. One aspect that I really, really enjoyed and I really liked, and you are so really good at it, was the, what do you call it, the community hour interview. That was, that inspired me to want to do my own show.
Oh, okay.
You were so good at it. I thought you were in my business. I'm in the insurance business. And I was a little nervous at first, well, maybe a lot nervous. But anyway, the questions that you asked and the way you interview, you just have a real knack for it. And that got me into the passion for wanting to do it, wanting to do radio. That, what do you call it? The
Community hour.
Community hour is key. And it was really, beneficial to my business as well. So people heard that. And I talked about Medicare. I think I talked about life insurance, and I did get a couple calls. And it's something that if you don't hear right away, if you happen to be at work, because I think it's on a Saturday, 1 o'clock or something.
We're on daily.
Oh, okay.
We used to be on Saturdays and Sundays, but we sort of changed that because we were engaged with another radio station in New York at the time.
Okay.
Since then, that has changed.
Right.
But we have maintained our presence from 1 to 2 Mondays through Fridays.
Okay, so the community hour interview that I did, and then the commercials that followed, really gave my business a boost. It can really help you a lot if you're an independent contractor like myself, because I don't have a job that I go to. I have to create my own prospects. I have to generate my own clients. So, doing the community hour along with the commercials kind of gave that a little boost, and it led to doing the weekly show that I do once again on Radio 1400.am on Tuesdays. Tuesdays at 2 p.m. And if you happen to be working and you miss it, catch me on demand.
Now, I wanted to share with you, coming back to the community hour, I started this on WDJZ.
Okay.
In around about 2010, when the recession hit, there were a lot of changes that were taking place in the economy. So I had to get very creative.
Yeah.
So I came up with a community, it was then called the Community Focus, the same format, but I called it Community Focus. And what I did, which was different, was say after you did your interview, I gave you a package of commercials.
Yes.
That ran so that if people heard the interview, they could get more information with the commercials by contacting you or whoever the client was. Sorry, and what happened there is that people became more interested, and it galvanized a lot of should I say, success for the radio station at that time. It became the driving force, or one of the main driving forces for revenue at that time, because everybody could have their own programs, businesses, churches, different entities, community groups, social groups in the community. They would come on and do their own interviews. They do an interview and they get the commercials, and everybody was happy with it.
Exactly.
And so I saw the results of that, and I said, after WDJZ closed, I continued the same format with a different name with the Community Hour. So that's basically the history of it. It had its own track record of success prior to that. I just wanted to mention that.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, I enjoyed it, and it helped me out a lot. Like I said before, if you're an independent contractor, that's one way to get the word out there. And another thing that's really beneficial for me is that it is on demand.
Right.
It is on
it's
smart
available, right.
speaker.
Yeah,
it's
Alexa.
on so many different platforms. Even if you have an old school flip phone,
Well, that's a very
there's
good
a
point.
number you can call
That's
and
a very
listen
good point.
to it.
That's a very good point. I wanted to emphasize that. That's
Yes.
a very good point, because a lot of our listeners on WDJZ were religious people, were religious programs. And a lot of the people who were affiliated with those were elderly people who were in the nursing homes, in hospitals, and so on and so forth. And they would have, that would be their habit, listening to the radio. Now, when that went away, and we continued the same format, I had to get creative and find a way to have them involved. And so my research led me to what is called a call to listen line, where people could now call in on any phone, a landline phone, a smartphone, or whatever, flip phone, whatever it is that
I
you
call
have.
them a flip phone.
You could call that number 563-999-3149. That's 563-999-3149. You could call that number and listen to the continuous stream that we have online. So that if there's a particular program that one wanted to hear and wanted to hear it live, and they didn't have access to an internet,
Exactly.
they could actually do that. So that was something that that came up, because I used to get a lot of complaints after we came off WDJZ. I can't hear the radio station, I can't hear. I said, okay, fine, I have to fix this. And that's what my research led me to that. So thank you for mentioning that.
Great idea, because, well, I have to mention that because I advocate for seniors. And, I happen to be a boomer too, but a lot of us are not technical savvy. We do not know how to navigate the internet, or if the Wi-Fi goes down, you can still listen to it on your, what I call it, flip phone. And the reason I say flip phone is because almost everyone has some type
Kind
of
of
phone.
right.
And
Very
I
basic.
know that if you're on the Medicare savings program, or if you're on Medicaid and you cannot, afford a smartphone, that you can get a flip phone
That's
through
true.
assistance with the state of Connecticut.
That is true.
You flip it open, you dial the number, and you can listen to it. Another thing that's really good, you can listen to it in your office.
That's true.
You can, how would you do that? Would you turn,
Oh, there's several ways
just
to do
listen
that.
live?
Yeah, there are several ways to do that.
Oh.
For instance, somebody has their smartphone
Okay.
and they have their earbuds in their phone. They can be at their desk listening to the radio station. And
Okay. But I mean, what about the whole office? You know how
that's a
some
choice.
offices,
That's a choice that some people, they might pipe it into their system, into their speaker systems, where people can actually listen if their office allows that. So you have the independence where you can listen independently or collectively. It all depends on what you want to do.
I like it because you just have so many options. And so I am, like I said before, insurance, I'm on hold a lot. And you listen to the elevator music, you
Right.
listen
I
to
see what
everything.
you're saying.
That's
Right.
also an option. You
Right.
can put something like that on
Right.
and advertise as well.
Right.
So now it's also on, what is smart speaker? Explain to us.
Well, we have
how-
a smart speaker series where we would say, Alexa, play radio 1400.am. That's the only one that we're affiliated with at the moment. We're thinking of getting involved with Siri or others, but right now it's just Alexa. So if you have your Alexa, play radio1400.am, and it just pops right up.
Really?
Right, yes.
See, I don't have Alexa.
And what that does is that, because we're used to listening to radio in our cars. Say, for instance, if you had Alexa engaged into your Bluetooth system in your car, then you could actually do that while you're driving.
Okay.
And so it provides that. That's one of the reasons why we did that, to give people the option to listen while they're driving in their cars and engage into their Bluetooth system. Okay. That's one of the reasons why we did that. Another thing I wanted to mention too, Benito, is that we are also heard, because our tagline is the sound of peace and love. Oh, that is the tagline.
Yes.
And so we are also listened to in 148 different locations, nationally and internationally.
Oh, okay.
So you find people who are listening to us in places in Europe, for instance, in Africa, the Caribbean, and so on and so forth. Because what is good about what we do is that because you're an independent producer, you have people who are affiliated from different regions who may be able to contact their own folks and say, hey, my program is on at such and such a time, and they stream live and they can hear it. And then they can engage that way. So it creates a listening base in these areas. So that is one of the interesting aspects of it. So it gives an opportunity to promote yourself online. So you have a presence online through the radio station. There are other things that we are also looking at right now, which when that rolls out, we'll let you know. It's going to be very exciting when it comes out. We want to do something good for 2023. And so we're talking to some other factors to get us on some other platforms, which will make it a lot more exciting for independent producers.
Exactly.
And one of the things I like about what we do, Vanita, if I may just ramble on for a moment,
sure,
is that it gives the independent producer a sense of purpose, of sharing their gifts and their services to the larger community. So I'm not there telling you, okay, Vanita, you can only say this, you can only say that. In a conventional radio station, there are certain rules and regulations that you have to go by, which is fine. But as an independent producer, you have your information and you can guide it along with certain things in a certain way that people can become a part of what you're doing. And so, independent producers, people have a half-an-hour show, some people have a 15-minute program, some people have a 1-hour program. It depends on what you want to do. Yep. And so we're as flexible as we possibly can.
So you have your independence, and you don't micromanage anyone.
No, not in terms
I'm
of
able to do what I need to do on my show.
Right.
And that's what I really am there to do, is to give out the information. So one of the other things that I notice about you and your station, we have at Radio 1400 all different types of categories. We have insurance, we have religion. You could probably elaborate. Talk shows and things like that.
Yes.
The one of the most important things that you do is provide information to the community.
Sure.
And so what we are trying to do is to get more listeners.
Right.
To get, to take advantage of some of this free information.
Exactly.
So what, the purpose of this is also to get awareness, to let people know we are here. Because if we don't tell people about Radio 1400, how else are they going to know about it?
Yes.
So we're going to have flyers. This is going to be on YouTube, and you can listen to it 24 hours a day.
Sure, we stream
7 days a week.
Yes,
and if it's not something for you, just share the information.
Yes.
We're just looking for you to share the information so that we can help as many people as possible with the resources that you provide on your station.
And with the media landscape the way that it is today, it is important for communities to have the relevant information that they need.
Exactly.
And who else better to provide that information than experts from those communities, people such as yourself. So it keeps everybody informed in a very, as I said, responsible way, because that's important. Because they can always come back to you and say, oh, Vanita, you said such and such and such, and then you'll have an opportunity now to expand the information on a one-on-one basis or in a collective way and say, yes, this is what it means when you do that. This is when you enroll, this is what's going to happen. This is the process that's involved. And so they feel more comfortable. They feel that they have an advocate who is giving them information and uplifting them and empowering them at the same time with the information that they need. And this happens to, in your case, in terms of Medicare and Medicaid and so on and so forth with health, but also legally as well.
Exactly.
Real estate in that aspect of it. Various aspects of talk show. There are people who talk about different entities in our communities who are coming in to discuss different concerns that they have in our communities. So people have an opportunity to exchange with them. You have people who talk about empowerment in terms of self-growth, you know, and things like that. So the point I'm making here is that it is there for everybody. And,
exactly.
and we provide the guidelines for you to do your program in a very professional manner. But as I said, we're going to be doing some other things for the new year that will also be more exciting. So we'll say, stay tuned for that.
I will be around for that.
Yes.
So, radio1400.am. Look, I was going to say, I used to be a part of WNLK.
Right.
And when I see him, I think about that and CTS as well.
WSTC.
STC.
Yes.
So Radio 1400 is the home of the community.
Yes.
Especially, I just want to especially talk to independent contractors for just a moment. If you are an independent contractor, like myself, like an insurance agent, like a real estate agent, or a credit broker, or just whatever, it is a great opportunity to just call Mr. Edwards or email him and just get all the free information on how you can grow your business and what opportunities there are out there for you.
Yes.
Because I have benefit from it, you know, tremendously. It's just been an asset to me in so many different ways.
One important thing I wanted to mention too is that there are folks who will come in and record a podcast, which doesn't necessarily air on our system. So we provide a service because we have professional studios. So people might come in and record a podcast, which we hand over to them, and they upload it to whatever platforms they want.
Okay.
So we provide that as well.
Oh,
Just wanted to mention that.
So you provide, what else do you provide? Do you provide any type of training?
Well,
or?
yes. In terms of training, we think that it's important for our communities to be able to be proficient enough to engage themselves as far as media is concerned. And so we give each person a basic orientation. For instance, you come in to do your program, we give you a basic orientation in terms of how to present certain things so that at least it is cohesive enough for people to understand what it is that you're saying. And you are aware of the different cadences and presentation skills and then you develop that. And then if you have an interest in becoming a professional broadcaster, then we can talk about that on another time. But that's another subject.
Yes. You know what? And you become your own professional.
Yeah.
Like I could tell you when I started, I think my first show I did, I was so green. It was like April of 2020.
Right.
So one day I was staying in my deck and everything. I said, let me listen to some of these shows. So I started from the beginning to the end. What a difference.
Yes.
I mean, I just felt like I was so immature, immature or like an amateur.
Well, here's something that you see, that's the thing. You are your own person.
Right.
You know, a lot of us who you know, we listen to somebody else and they sound a certain way. Say, I'd like to sound like that. No. Be yourself.
Yes, I
because
was
that's
myself.
what people like. That's what people like.
I had no producer.
Right.
I had no producer, so I've been on a show with, I'm not going to mention any names, but they have a producer to tell them to do everything, and everything runs smoothly, and you never have like a moment where, you know, a pause or anything.
Right.
But it was you that made me realize that no, I don't have a degree in communications, and I didn't plan to be a radio disc jockey or anything like that. But it was Milford that, you know, made me realize that I'm not here for entertainment or anything like that. I'm here for information. Right. So even if I say something and it's incorrect, I could go back and correct it. And it's about the information that people are listening to. So even if you have a business and you don't think that you could do your own show, you can, because as long as you know your business, if you could sit down, if you're a realtor and you could sit down and explain to me that there are houses available and what to look for and what not to look for, you can do this as long as you know your business.
Exactly. And the other thing too, for people who have businesses too, the community hour is good for that as well.
Oh, yes.
So they can come in and talk about their business. I do the interview, conduct the interview with them, and they talk about their businesses. And then of course they get a package of commercials that goes with that. So that's another way. So if you don't necessarily want to host your own radio program, there's also the possibility of the community hour to facilitate that as well. So you're getting the information out there also. So that's important. And all of these are placed on the on-demand channels so that people can go back and access and listen at their own leisure. Very important.
Yes, and the listeners, another thing, they can hold you accountable. They can say, you said that this actually happened to me. Somebody called and said that they heard me say that I would drive anywhere in Connecticut, go to your house, and give you this information for free. And when they called me, they actually, quoted me that.
Right.
And I said, yeah, I said it, and I will. And that's what I do.
Right.
So if you are talking about your business, don't say anything that you won't do. You have to make sure that I think, number one, I think there's nothing more important than honesty.
Right.
Because I don't, like I said, I don't have a degree in communications, and I wasn't, born to do sales or anything. And I don't feel like I am doing sales. I feel like what I do is a passion for the community. It's free to the community. Service. And I'm hoping that they benefit from the information that I'm giving, because it's free information. Right. And I have a passion for it. And that's what I want to do. And
that's what comes across. Because I couldn't do what you do. I could, if you gave me, I'd have to look at the script and say, okay, So everybody has their own area of proficiency. So in your area, this, it's at the top of your head. You can engage the audience. You can speak to the audience about it. I ask you a question, how does this work, Benita? Well, this is what you need to do. Exactly. X, Y, and Z, this, da. And you go to this website and get information, whatever it is that they need to do. And that is what is good about it. Each person is an expert in their own right and their own way.
That's correct. Well said, Milford. So listen, our show goes by so fast. We have 1 minute left.
Okay.
I was just informed we have 1 minute left. So what would you like to leave our audience with?
Well, remember the sound of peace and love, radio1400.am. And of course, you can reach us at imlmedia@gmail.com. That's imlmedia@gmail.com. Or you can call us at 203-873-0446. That's 203-873-0446. And we'll be happy to talk with you and work with you. Peace and love.
All right. And follow us on YouTube. If you didn't get all of that, you can listen to it again on YouTube in about an hour or so. And I want to thank you for joining us. This is the David Goodman Reality and Truth Show, and we're on your side.
Every time.